So in this week's upload, I'm going to answer a question about Smarkets. In fact, there's 3 parts to this question about Smarkets from Al Bundy. I'll do that in just a second. But currently we're revisiting the question and answers playlist on the YouTube channel, adding more of your questions to it. So if you've got one, please submit it in the comments down below after watching this video. Check out that link because some of these questions come up time and again and they're already answered. So the question is from Al, who is trading Smarkets? Isn't it harder to trade on Smarkets considering that you've only got a website interface? And you know, he seems a bit bemused by the fact that there's large amounts of money traded on Smarkets, or large amounts of money that are matched. So to answer each of those 3 parts one by one, as quickly and briefly as possible, who's trading on Smarkets? Now, personally, I don't know any pros that trade full-time trading on Smarkets exclusively. So there are a handful of people we do know trade on Smarkets. I'll come on to those in just a second. And it would be great to know who's trading on Smarkets all the time, because then you could choose, you know, where you operate and whether you have more advantage or not. But it's not actually, you know, possible to know exactly who's trading at any one time. Now, there's a handful of select users which are allowed API access from Smarkets. They have a private API. A couple of years back, they turned around, they contacted me, I even did a blog post about it. They said that there was going to be a public API where everybody could use trading tools that they were developing, and it would be, you know, more of an exchange in the sense of trading. That doesn't seem to have ever happened. I don't know why, I wasn't given an explanation. But currently there is a private API where a handful of people are allowed to use it. Once they're given access, I would assume that they're more sort of like liquidity providers, market makers on a mass scale, which obviously is beneficial to Smarkets, having more liquidity. There's also a second company which is part of the Smarkets group or owned by Smarkets called Hanson Applied Sciences. So they are providing liquidity and trading their own exchange. They're a separate body, so as I understand, they don't have access to, you know, customer information, all that kind of stuff, but they are there seeding prices and trading the markets too. So they are, you know, a small group of probably very large operators that are providing liquidity on Smarkets and trading it. But from a end user point of view, which is probably more the people that are watching this video, myself, there isn't really a viable option to be trading Smarkets, which is also part of the answer for this second part of this question. So the second part that I asked was, isn't it harder to use a website? And the answer is yes, absolutely. This is why it's not possible to trade on your phone effectively, particularly over the short term. So, you know, you can trade more or less any exchange over the longer term, providing there's enough liquidity, and you can hold positions, providing that they are, you know, markets that are open for an extended period of time. But it's not easy at all to trade effectively without all the information in front of you, all the things you need, live updated streaming, because, you know, things change and they change quite quickly. So it's hard to use a website. On top of that, you know, it depends what exchange you're using, but there is delayed information to the website too. So in trading short term with API tools like we do on Betfair, you know, Geeks Toy, Gruss, all that kind of stuff, you're given live information that is actually happening there and then as you see it in front of your eyes, you know, milliseconds old. Now, also, there's been a handful of people that have contacted me over time. I haven't experienced it myself because I haven't really used Smarkets much. They're more of a exchange and platform for match bettors, I would say. I think that's fair, or they were historically, because of the commission rates, which is now matched by some of the other exchanges. But there have been people that have traded short term that have contacted me that said, look, you know, I've found a way to make it work, but unfortunately I've been slapped straight away with this turnover charge. And there's a separate video on the YouTube channel about that. We'll put a link in the description also. But basically, Smarkets contact you individually, let you know you've qualified for a turnover charge, and that applies to, you know, people that are like courtsiders, people that are skimming prices short term and scalping on Smarkets. And having that turnover charge factored into your bets rather than, you know, an extra charge on the amount of money you've made, the actual turnover of those bets makes it non-viable, which is extremely frustrating for those people. So that is also a reason that, you know, short-term trading on Smarkets isn't really happening. I would assume that's probably because they want to trade it themselves. They don't want that extra competition. They don't want people turning up courtside and taking money out of the pot, making it hard for them to seed their own markets. It just seems to be the way things have evolved. Also, on top of that, Smarkets like some of the other exchanges, BetDAQ in particular, they've started to develop their sportsbook product. They're moving probably away from exchanges. They realise that the revenue and margin from recreational bettors is not really there on the exchanges. It's more of a specialist area for people who have the know-how and are looking to trade and actually make money from their betting that have probably already been limited and excluded from sportsbook and bookmakers. So the last part, the third and final part, was the match volumes on Smarkets. So Al there seemed a bit confused. It's like, if it's not really viable as a trading platform short term, then how is there so much money matched? Why is it so popular? And the answer is, it's probably not as popular as you think it is. And that's because the calculation for the trading volume on Smarkets is different to some of the other exchanges. For example, on Betfair, if you place a £1,000 bet and match it at 3.0, you have a £1,000 back bet, a £1,000 lay bet, they get matched together. That is then recorded as £2,000 traded volume on the Betfair exchange. So a lot of people are then comparing the traded volumes between the different exchanges, but what they don't realise in this instance is Smarkets actually calculates their traded volume differently. So a £1,000 placed at that same 3.0 price as Betfair that would have been £2,000 is actually registered as a £1,000 bet at 3.0 makes it £3,000. So the same situation gives you a different volume, and it makes it look like there's more volume on the Smarkets exchange than there is in other places. So I think really, as I said earlier on, Smarkets is more likely to be used as a match betting platform. It's quite clean. They got a good market share from the match betting community because it was lower commission at 2%. Obviously Betfair has a variable commission now. Some of the other exchanges have low commission too. So they've kind of lost their USP a little bit there, which is probably why they're developing into a different direction. So I wouldn't deter you from using Smarkets at all. Use it for your match betting. Is it a trading option? Is it a short-term trading option? Certainly not. It's not something that I would be looking into myself at this point in time. So hopefully that answers your question fully. If you want to see more questions, check out the Q&A playlist in the end screen up here. We'll also put another popular video down the bottom there. Thanks a lot. See you next time.